Hey, this is Kim Harrington with H10 Enterprises. And if you really, really want to learn more about how to level up your life, you should be listening to the Time to Shine Today podcast with my good friend, Scott Ferguson. It's Level Up.
Time to Shine Today podcast, Varsity Squad. This is Scott Ferguson, and I am super happy to bring on a U.S. Marine, an ex-police officer, and just an overall fantastic coach. If you're looking to get leveled up and you want to leave this interview ready just to run through a brick wall, then make sure you break out your notebooks, because my good friend Kim Harrington from H10 Enterprises just brings the heat. The whole conversation, I have pages upon pages of notes. I'm going to tell you want to break out your notebook. And if you know anybody that needs to hear really a motivating, applicable knowledge nuggets that they can put in their life right now, share this with them. Or I would really like you to like it or subscribe. That'd be awesome for sponsors and affiliates. But I'm going to tell you right now, you're going to walk away with knowledge nuggets that you're going to be able to implement right away. So without further ado, here comes my really good friend and fellow coach, Kim Harrington. Let's level up. Time to Shine Today podcast, Varsity Squad. This is Scott Ferguson, and I'm super stoked to bring you this interview because this gentleman is 11 years older than me, and he's super goals for me. I'm just going to say his age. He's 62 years old. Dude gets after it every single morning. He's a U.S. Marine. I'm not going to hold that against him. I'm just kidding. No, but just a Navy Marine thing. I mean, he's part of the Department of the Navy, but they'll say they're the men's department, which I kind of agree with that. But my guy here, Kim Harrington, he holds a Series 7 and 66 licenses, as well as a life, health, and annuity license in multiple states. He's a certified disc trainer with personalities and whatnot. Again, a fantastic U.S. Marine. Veteran, a retired CHP officer, a keynote speaker, which you got to see this cat speak. He's freaking rocks the stage. He's on it. Most importantly, he's other-centered with giving, a servant leader, and a victim's advocate. He's passionate about helping others achieve their personal and professional goals. He strives to make a positive impact in his community and the world. And Kim, thank you so much for coming on. Please introduce yourself to Time to Shine Today podcast squad. But first, what's your favorite color and why?
What? That's an interesting question. I'm not going to say I didn't watch some of your other podcasts, and I knew this question was coming.
Yeah, man.
So I'm going to say black, man.
Okay.
And the reason why black is kind of universal. You know what I mean?
Sure.
If you think about a car that's black, it'll fit in any setting.
Right.
If you think about the clothing black, you'll fit in any setting.
Right.
If I'm wearing yellow, it might not work. So I'm a fan of black, and it makes my head look good too. So
it makes your head look good, and not that you need it, but other people wear black to slim them down and whatnot. Yeah. It does do that, but you don't need that, brother. So let's get to the origins of stuff with regards to you're a servant. I mean, from the start with being a Marine, and off the Mike squad, he told me he was a Marine in 1978 or 79. I'm like, dude, I was 6. It's just the dude that looks younger than me. And that's just something that I take credit on. I've been looking forward to this, but let's get kind of to the roots of you, brother, and kind of where you started and how you're up here leveling up the masses.
Yeah, so I'm all about the stories. I'm all about the journey that people are on. And so I'm going to go way back. And I believe that this is where it all started. So I grew up in the social service system of New York City.
Okay.
I grew up in 5 foster homes and 3 group homes. My biological mother was a heroin addict. She was addicted to heroin. And then my father was a career criminal. So by the time I was actually born, he had already spent half his life incarcerated. So if you think about those formative years, you think about abandonment, neglect, and just not feeling wanted or part of something special. You can either do one or two things. You can continue to look at life in the rearview mirror, or you can look at life through the windshield. And I choose to look at life through the windshield. And you have to embrace, I call it the pain.
Yeah.
You embrace everything that goes on in your life, the good, the bad. It's just part of your journey. And so that's where it all started. And so I love the fact that you are doing this, because A Time to Shine is about other people.
Yeah, man.
It's about giving people a voice. And not only that, it's about the people that are listening to this that can benefit. Even if you never hear from them, they're benefiting from what you're doing, man.
I appreciate that, man. I really appreciate it. I love that you said when I coach somebody in person, which I'm blessed to do a lot with people here in South Florida. I actually get in their car with them, right? And one, I want to see how they keep their car, because you can tell a lot about a person how they keep their car, right? But I put them in the driver's seat, I sit in the passenger seat, I see this little thing right here. That's a rearview mirror. It's small for a reason. It's a great place to visit and learn from, but we're not staying there. We're passing that all the time. The windshield, big, scary. But to get there, we got to be present. We got to buckle our seatbelt, ignition, put it in drive and go. And just this little thing on the screen, if it's newer, if the car is newer than 2011, this thing is called a GPS, and that's me. I'm going to help you get there. I can't drive you there, bro, but you can get there. So when you said you are like a brother, older brother that looks like you're me from a different mother, man. This is awesome, dude. This is awesome. So you went out on this, you started embracing the pain, went out on the journey. Was it kind of the Marines next after kind of out of the foster homes and stuff like that?
So I tell people this all the time, and you might feel that I'm sure you feel the same way about going in the military, by the way, but
yes, sir.
The Marine Corps, by far, not even a close second, is the best decision I've ever made in my entire life.
Yes.
The Marine Corps literally took me from a life of no direction to a life of absolute direction. Taught me how to be a man, how to stand tall, be proud, honor, integrity, loyalty, attention to detail, be part of something bigger than myself, working collectively as a unit from people from all over the country, different ethnicities, religious beliefs, with one mission. And our goal was to accomplish that mission, and this, by the way, that we were willing to lay down our lives for our fellow Marines without hesitation.
100%.
So when you go from basically no direction to Marine Corps, and then that the ultimate goal is to accomplish the mission regardless.
Right.
And that's the beauty of the Marine Corps. I'm a Marine. I'll be a Marine for the rest of my entire life.
Take that away, man.
Yeah. And I love that, man. I love being a Marine. I love telling people that I'm a Marine.
Yeah, you should be absolutely freaking proud of it. And the thing with me, even because what I did in the military, I worked mostly with Marines. It was 100%. When we do the dives over the side of the boat and look for explosives and stuff, and then we jokingly say we're dropping the Marines off to go catch a bullet, and stuff like that. But they're the baddest mofos around, and thank God this country has them, because you don't know it unless you served. And me being blessed to be around them was awesome, Kim. So we win the Marines, and we're kind of working our way forward here. When would we kind of step into the kind of the coaching aspect of where you're at, like kind of right now with like I've looked at your stuff, your content is fantastic, but how do we really get there?
Well, I think it's the life's about the stories. It's about the journey. 16 years as a highway patrol officer, you really see things that most people will never see in their entire lifetime.
Yeah.
And I know you've heard this term, nothing good happens after midnight.
Absolutely.
That is 100% true, by the way, 100% true. And so my coaching began in the Marine Corps, and then through as a field training officer in the highway patrol. So you're always coaching and trying to find a way to communicate effectively. And for me, I believe that you can get a whole lot more out of people with love than fear.
Sure.
And if you can build people up and get them to understand that there's a lot more in the tank, they can do a lot more than they think they can do, and that the person in the gym bench pressing 415 pounds and you're bench pressing 100 pounds is no different than you.
No different. Yeah.
Zero. Yeah. Because they might be able to do that, but they can't curl as much as you.
Right.
So everybody's body is different, and it's just our approach to looking at it. So that all that coaching led up to this, and currently being a coach means I can make an impact on other people's lives, in their personal life, their professional life. The goal is to help them reach their full potential. And we all have these unique competencies, these gifts that we're already good at. It's just identifying them, tapping into them, and then allowing other people to benefit from them, whether it's your volunteer activity or whether you're at your job.
Wow. You just hit that, allowing other people to benefit. That's strong, because again, you're filling your cup, And it's a way of being selfish in a sense, right? But selfish, even if you look in Webster's, if anyone has those anymore, the dictionary, right? Selfish doesn't mean a bad word. It's really taking care of yourself so you can help others. I love that, man. So others can benefit. Identify the gifts and tap into them so others can benefit. That's strong, Kim. That's seriously strong. So what do you think then makes a great coach? I know you kind of modeled that right there, but what other attributes does a great coach have?
Well, it's if you think about it this way, if you're in any profession, by the way, if you go to the doctor's office and this doctor is giving you advice on your health,
sure,
and the doctor is not healthy themselves, or you go to the dentist and the dentist has screwed up teeth,
right?
It's very intuitive that you're not going to listen to this person.
Right.
So the first thing I think that a great coach can do is be a role model for the behavior that they want those people to demonstrate. If you're talking to people about taking care of themselves and you don't take care of yourself, that's not good.
Yes.
If you talk to people about being an effective communicator and you have a bunch of filler words, you're looking around, you're fidgeting with things, you're not modeling the behavior.
Right.
If you are coaching people to be a better salesperson and you don't know how to build a foundation of trust, credibility, rapport, ask permission to ask questions, ask effective discovery questions, gain a commitment. If you don't have a defined sales process, how can you coach other people to do the same thing?
Thank you.
By the way, you can get away with it for a very short period of time.
Yeah.
That first call, that second call, but after that, when the rubber meets the road and they have to start doing the activities,
right, that's
where the true person is revealed. And the best coaches can role model the behavior for the people they're coaching.
Absolutely, dude. Like that's huge. I'm blessed to, coach a minor league baseball team here in Florida. It's the mindset and whatnot. And like just showing up, it's like I get in the gym for myself. I mean, discipline is doing something you don't want to do when you don't want to do it, right? So, I mean, sometimes no matter how driven you are, but then I think, okay, I'm walking in to the facility. It's like, I better look a certain way for these young folks to take me seriously, dude. You know what I'm saying? So even if I'm only working with their mind, if I was to walk in there with I went through a time, a lot of people know my story, 44-inch gut, like stuff like it was terrible. But that's where I stay 6'1", stay around the 240. I still can get in 36 waist and I'm good for that, be able to show up, like you said, a model. So then if you're in a coaching conversation, maybe it's a discovery conversation, what is kind of your secret sauce? And if you don't mind sharing to find that blind spot they might be working with, Coach.
Well, see, there's once again, I talk about doing things with love rather than fear.
Yes.
And obviously you're an athlete, you deal with minor league baseball team. Now think about the kids. Think about someone you're coaching. And I made this mistake early on when I started coaching my son's T-ball team. I had the initial approach that I wanted to be their buddy. I wanted to have them think, oh, that's a cool guy, that's a cool coach. But then I had these parents looking at me like, hey, my kid needs to learn how to. So obviously I learned from that, but I use this approach, and for lack of a better term, it's the Oreo cookie. I want to have them do self-discovery. I already know what I'm going to work on with them. However, there's power in self-discovery. So if I say, tell me what you've done well, you always start off with the good. And if they can't come up with something that they've done well based on our conversations, I'm going to come up with something they've done well. I want to start off with a positive.
Yeah.
Then that middle part of the Oreo cookie, the cream, that is the helpful feedback. That is where there's an opportunity for improvement. So I'm also going to ask them, what do you feel like you're lacking? Where's the area where there's an opportunity for improvement? I want them to say it instead of me saying it. And if they can't come up with something, I'm going to start asking those open-ended discovery questions for them to reveal it.
Right.
And then I'll end with something positive. Continue to do this well, work on one skill item, work on one knowledge item at a time. If you can work on one skill item, let's just say for the sake of discussion, you want to take a leadership role in a conversation. The best way to do that is ask permission to ask questions. It may be intuitive that you're going to do that anyway, but by asking permission, it's going to allow you to be 100% in charge, right?
Yes.
That's a skill item. A knowledge item could be the X's and O's.
Right.
And the cool thing is if you're working in an environment where there's high volume, it's going to be a short learning curve. Right. You start working on something, you'll work on the next skill item, the next knowledge item, the next skill item, the next knowledge item, and continually to build off that. So that is the model that I use,
That's
and I think it
beautiful.
works. And obviously, there's other layers to this. The
Yeah,
initial calls where you want people to understand their why and their core values.
right.
And I call the core values, what are you going to have on your billboard, your t-shirt?
Yeah,
Just grab three things. That's who you are. Those are
right.
your non-negotiable. These are your core values. Being here, showing up on time is a core value of mine. But when
Right.
someone's late, it blows my mind that they can
Yeah.
be late, but we live in a different world right now.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that you asked permission, coach, because with that, I mean, even when I started, I asked, do I have permission to coach you? And then I kind of back that up. Do I also have permission to hold you accountable?
Yeah.
Because then after that, like you just said, you stated perfectly, you're in control as the coach from then on out. I mean, everybody knows what they want. They just sometimes don't know how to talk themselves into it, right? And then every challenge we have inside us, the way to fix it is there too. So if you ask that permission, you're in control of asking those open-ended questions to really get them to see that light bulb. Because if I consult you and say, hey, Kim, what if you did it this way? You're like, yeah, Ferg, I'll do that. And you do it, it sucks. You're like, man, Fergie sucks. But if you come up with it, Kim comes up with it, and it doesn't go the way you want to, you'll like winners adjust. Mediocre people make excuses. So I love that, man. I love it. So then I'm sure you've heard this question. I've asked if you've listened to a couple of mine, but like, is there any good question that you wish they would ask you, but never do, maybe during the discovery session?
Oh, yeah. So for me, I always want to know what drives people. If let's just take money off the table.
Mm-hmm.
If you could address all your financial obligations, all of them, and you didn't have to think or worry about that at all, mm-hmm. Why are you doing what you're doing? For example, when I'm speaking with someone about a mortgage, mm-hmm. that part of my life,
sure.
When I'm speaking to someone about a mortgage, I want to know why they want to buy this home. I want to know about their family. I want to know about their kids. I want to know about their parents. I want to know why they're moving.
Right.
If I don't understand that, then I'm going to fall short on how I can benefit them.
Yeah.
And so I always want to know the driver behind people's behavior and their motivation. If it's just money, I have a hard time with it, by the way.
Sure.
Because if you can find a way to treat people and get them where they need to be, a byproduct of that is that we're all going to benefit from it.
I love it. I love it. And like that's why I kind of use Ford, family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. It's my way of finding out their why without using the word why. Because me and coaching and why can sound judgmental, even no matter why do you do this? But if I could find out those different things. So tell me, Coach, what is your 3 core values that you
So my main core value is I want to help other people get to where they want to get in their personal and professional life. That is a core value of mine. I don't care if I'm outside with my neighbor. I want to make sure that every single interaction I have with someone is positive.
Sure.
At the very least, and I never say this part, but at the very least, I don't want there to be a rub. And I'm a realist, and I'm also from New York City, so I know that sometimes you can't control it.
Right.
But the core value is I want to make sure that every single interaction is positive.
Right.
The second core value is that I want to make a positive impact and a legacy with my name on the community. Because you live at an address, you work at an address, that does not make you part of the community.
Right.
In order to be part of the community, you have to be in the community, benefiting other people with not having an expectation of anything in return. So in a nutshell, those are my core values. Obviously, the other core value of mine is to represent. So that one word, represent, is something I used to say to my kids when they would leave and go to school and things like that. Now, I wouldn't say behave yourself, don't get in any trouble, pay attention in class. I would just say represent. So represent our brand, our last name that's on our jersey, whether you're going to the mailbox, whether you're coming to work with me or you're at school, someone is always watching. Represent.
Yeah, it's like what Mattingly said to Jeter, man, when they were running off the field. He's like, let's run off. And Jeter's like, why? Because you never know who's watching, dude. Right. Saying it's 100% truth. That's amazing. So you've seen the movie Back to the Future, I take it, right?
Of course.
All right, let's get in that DeLorean with Marty McFly. Let's go back to the Double Deuce, the 22-year-old Coach Kim. He wasn't a coach probably then. Let's go back to the Double Deuce, the 22-year-old Kim. What kind of knowledge nuggets would you drop on him? Not so much to change anything, because what happened to you formed who you are because you took it in a great way. But what might you tell him to maybe shorten a learning curve, blast through, or level up, maybe just a little bit quicker?
Well, see, the 22-year-old was a Marine. I was a sergeant in the Marine Corps. I was working in a military prison, a brig. And so my perception of life was skewed. And so what I would tell that 22-year-old version of myself is the same thing I tell people now. Your perspective on life cannot grow unless your environment expands. And I don't care if like here I live in Atlanta. If I don't cross the border to go to Alabama or Florida or Tennessee, I'm missing the mark. You have to get away from your comfort area, experience other cultures, food, music, and just be open to it.
Yes.
And so back then I was so dialed in on being a Marine and being really good at my job that I kind of let things go by the wayside when I was not working. I wasn't focused on my life and being a better person.
Right. It's like the Phil Ferris Bueller's throwback to the 80s, like life goes by fast, man. If you don't slow down, observe and live present, it just kind of flies by you, man. And even like being a cop, I mean, you were showing up on arguably the person's worst day of their life up to that point. And for you, all that stuff, the intangibles, Kim, that you went through made you the highly sought after coach you are today, which is amazing. And leading to that, because I was hoping you better have said legacy and some of your core values, right? But I'm going to ask you again about the dash, man. How do you want your dash remembered? That little line between your incarnation date and your expiration date, man. How does Kim want his dash remembered?
That's interesting you say that, because I use that same analogy when I talk to people about, I say you can pass by any cemetery in this country and two things will be for sure: your birth date and the date of your death.
Right.
Yeah. But the things that will be different is that dash, how you lived your dash.
Yeah, man.
Right? And so for me, that dash is, once again, I want to leave behind this one thing when they think about me. He was a good man.
Yeah.
Kim Harrington was a good man. And really that's all I need. I have the love of my family.
Yeah.
I've got kids, grandkids. I've got because of my formative years, the way I grew up, I cherish my relationships with people. If I'm a friend of somebody, I'm a friend of somebody.
Right.
And I will go through the fire for them.
Yeah.
And so there because of that, though, I have a low tolerance for certain things. One low tolerance I have is dishonesty. If someone is dishonest, I don't like that. Right. If someone says something and doesn't follow through with it, to me, that's almost on the same playing field as being dishonest.
It is.
If I say, I'm going to do this by this date, and that date passes, that's a big turnoff for me.
Yeah, huge.
And so he was a good man is really in a nutshell.
Yeah, and that encompasses a lot of different things, which you're living, and that's, to me, it's freaking impressive. So what do you think then people can misunderstand the most about you?
Yeah, so when you have a certain look, like I have this haircut, I've got the goatee, I'm not The Rock because I'm probably about 100 pounds and 6 inches shorter than him. But when you first see me, people don't perceive me a certain way. If they knew me, they would know that I'm a jokester. Mm-hmm. I love laughing.
Yeah.
I think you should laugh every single day of your life. You should laugh hard and as often as possible.
Oh yeah.
I'm a magician. So I've got these hobbies: magician and poetry.
Okay.
So, and if you see me, like, I gotta know anything about poetry. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. I don't write it, but I memorize it to use it in certain situations that will benefit the other person I'm communicating with, to get them to see it a little bit differently.
Wow.
So I would say that the first glance, the prima facie look at somebody, you've heard this many times, you shouldn't judge a book by its cover.
Yeah.
It's so true with all of us. But just engaging in a conversation with somebody is going to make a world of difference.
Huge. Hey, Coach, is there anything that you believed in the past that and you believed hard in them, that as you move through your journey of life that you've changed your views on? Oh
yeah. There's so much, by the way. So when you're in law enforcement, I'm going to give you the Reader's Digest version. Sure. Law enforcement, if you think about law enforcement and you think about not the people, But the activities of a law enforcement officer, the job is 100% negative. And people say, what do you mean? How can it be 100% negative? If I am rushing into a house fire to rescue people, I am rescuing them. I'm doing a fantastic thing. The house just burned down.
Right.
Still negative for them. If I am doing CPR on the side of the freeway and I'm actually resuscitating somebody, saving their life, they were in a collision. They almost lost their life.
Sure.
They're going to the hospital. It's still negative for them. So the job itself is so negative, and it skews your view of life. You don't initially, when you start any job, it's fresh, it's new. You actually see the things for what they are. You see some devastation as a result of an incident. But then after time goes by, you see measurements. They're just measurements. 6 months from now, I got to make sure all my T's are crossed, my I's are dotted for court.
Yeah.
It might not be 6 months. It might be 4 years.
Right.
I am collecting data. I'm putting it together, some structure to present at a later time. So there's a disconnect with humanity.
Right.
And so what I know now is that if you really take the time to just breathe, get to know people, communicate, don't feel threatened by someone that may have more knowledge than you in a certain area.
Yeah.
I embrace that, man. I want you to
Dude, all day.
I want you to succeed. I want you to teach me something, man.
Yeah.
That's what life's about.
And as I live like the plus equals minus, like every day I'm looking for somebody that's higher than me, that's attained something and learn from them. Someone like that's kind of equal to me, like you and I can maybe shoot the shit and like pass on knowledge to each other. And then also send the elevator down for somebody that wants to get to where you are at the time. And I think if you do that every day, the day is, complete. And I love that you said your perspective will not grow unless your environment expands. And that's just something that was taught to me also, is that the success has two mentals in it. One mental up top and two environmental, right?
Yes.
Where you are and where you surround. That's freaking awesome, Kim, man. We definitely have to rock a stage soon.
Yes.
We'll absolutely kill it. And Time to Shine Today podcast Varsity Squad. We are back, and Coach, you and I will definitely meet up. It's going to happen, and we'll talk about maybe some of these over a brain grenade or a coffee or something for an hour or so, probably. And some of these questions, man, go deep. But today, you got 5 seconds with no explanations, and they can all be answered that way, Marine. You ready to rock?
Yes.
All right, let's level up. Kim, what's the best leveling up advice you've ever received?
Awareness. The word awareness.
Yes. Share one of your personal habits that contributes to your success.
Physical fitness.
Awesome. So you see me kind of walking down the street and you're like, man, Fergie looks like he's in a doldrums, man. Like, what book might you hand me to level me up?
Wow. The Perfect Present.
Oh, yeah. Awesome, dude. No one's ever said that, but I've read it. That's awesome. So other than your own website, and of course, Time to Shine Today's website, what website do you like to go to kind of level up, brother?
I go to YouTube, man. I look for some motivational stuff on there.
Said. Yeah. What's your most commonly used emoji when you text?
Thumbs up.
Yeah, it's got to be colored, by the way. You busted my balls.
That's right.
That. I love it. Nicknames growing up?
Lion.
Beautiful. And is there any hidden, other than magic now, because you already just said that, but is there any hidden talent or superpower you have that nobody really knows about?
Ah, man, just poetry.
Magic and poetry. That's enough said already. Yeah. Chess, checkers, or Monopoly?
I'd say chess.
So there's a headline for your life or a billboard. What's it say on it?
Grind.
Yes. Go-to ice cream flavor.
Chocolate.
All right. There's a sandwich called the Kim Lion Level Up. What's on that sandwich, man? Build it for me.
Well, it's going to be ham and cheese. It's going to have some bacon bits, and it's going to have some lettuce, tomatoes, and some jalapenos.
Nice. Man sandwich. Beautiful. I love it. Favorite charity and organization you like to give your time or money to?
Mothers Against Drunk Driving, man. 38 years I've been a volunteer with MAD.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate that. Last question, and you can elaborate on this one. What's the best decade of music? 60s, 70s, 80s, or 90s?
Woo, man. I'm going to have to go to the 70s, man.
There you go. I
Those
love
my
it,
teenage
man.
years, so 70s.
What's funny is that, like, when I want some music on, like when I'm working, it's the 70s. It's like vinyl classic, right? Is usually what I throw on. I'm an 80s baby, growing with everything that happened in the 80s. But in the 70s, man, it's like everything had a story to tell. I don't care if it was fast with the Eagles or slow like Jim Croce. It was like everything had stories, and I love that, man. So, Coach, how can we find you, my friend?
So my website is www.kimharrington.com. That's my company, H10 Enterprises. Telephone number is 813-830-3545, or you can email me at kim@h10enterprises.com.
And I love it, Squad, that the H10 is because Harrington has 10 letters in it. And that's just
exactly
it
right.
sets them apart, man. And you can say that, I mean, H10 really, but then you're like, wait a minute, Harrington does have 10, and it fits in with your coaching, brother. So also, I know that Coach Kim is open for speaking engagements and keynote, like you just said, keynote speaking engagements, and also coaching. So if anyone wants a warm introduction to him, please let me know. And I'll be happy to do that. And Coach, do me one last solid and leave us with one last knowledge nugget we can take with us, internalize, and take action on.
So I always think about this. We think about time for life expectancy. We think about the 720 hours in a month. We can think about the 168 hours in a week, or we can think about the 24 hours in a day. But there was a poem by Benjamin E. Mays, and he wrote it about time. He said, I only have a minute, 60 seconds in it. Forced upon me, I did not choose it, but I know I must use it. Give account if I abuse it, suffer if I lose it. Only a tiny little minute, but eternity is in it.
Awesome, dude. Even in that minute, it's there. I
Yes.
love it. And Squad, we just had a super fun conversation with my good friend and coach, Kim Harrington. He blasted through 5 foster homes, heroin addict mother, criminal father. A lot of people use that as an excuse to live a life of poverty and maybe follow the footsteps of them, but he didn't. He hopped in the Marine Corps, really learned the discipline. He learned the steadfastness to be able to level up his life while helping others. He doesn't live in that rearview mirror. If he did, he'd be stuck back there. He believes in that windshield, no matter how big and scary it is. He loves to say, embrace the pain, the good, the bad. Embrace all of your journey. Be a part of something bigger than yourself. And your story is the one that you're writing on a daily basis. And basically, if you run into a time where you are finding adversity, look back at those stories. That's what Kim will tell you. Look at a story that worked for you in the past and pull that forward into where you're at now. That's where a rearview mirror might be able to work for you. And Kim wants you to identify your gifts, tap into them, and allow other people to benefit from them. I mean, how kick-ass is that, Squad? And he reminds us that a great coach is a role model with the behaviors that they have, that they want the people that he's coaching to demonstrate. So if you're a coach out there and you're listening, or if you're looking to hire a coach, make sure that you would want to emulate, not be them, but make sure that they have the skills to pay the bills to be able to coach you on that. He told us about the Oreo cookie, about telling you what you're doing well, and also the cream with the feedback and whatnot. I thought that was fantastic. He wants to be really known as helping other people get what they want and make a positive impact with his legacy. Man, the dude's planting trees he's never going to sit in the shade of. And one thing I like about Kim here is that he does it for the intention, not the attention. He's not like, look at me, look at me, look at me. He's more interested in making you succeed, knowing the reciprocity is going to come his way, because that's the way the universe and God works. And I tried to type out the poem when he was talking about it, but every single minute matters. That's your infinity. That's your eternity. So live it, live present. That's what my good friend Kim does. He's a handsome devil. He levels up his health. He levels up his wealth. He's humble, yet he's hungry. He's funny. He'd be a fantastic coach for you. He's earned his varsity squad letter here at Time to Shine today. Coach, thank you so much for coming on, man. I absolutely love your guts, brother.
Thank you, brother.
Hey, thanks so much for listening to this episode of Time to Shine Today podcast. Proudly brought to you by Sutter and Nugent Real Estate Excellence, who can be reached at 561-249-7266 and online at www.sutterandnugent.com. If you are a business owner or professional who would like to be interviewed on Time to Shine Today, please visit timetoshinetoday.com/guest. If you like this episode, please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you get your podcasts. There's a link in the show notes to our website. Also there, you will see our recommended resources. We hope that you will support our show by supporting them. If you like what you've been listening to, it'd be great if you could just give us a 5-star rating and tell your friends how to subscribe while you're at it. I'm your host, Scott Ferguson, and until next time, let's level up. It's our time to shine.